tonight we're going to be talking about live streaming, and the aim of this session, I think, is to be a bit of an introduction. So we're working on the assumption that most of the people here have either zero knowledge or just a little bit of knowledge about kind of things, and so it's not hopefully going to be an in-depth session. What the plan is for Drew to kind of basically talk through some sort of basic options up to kind of a slightly more advanced option, so you kind of know where you could start and how you could progress up to something more advanced. But obviously it's we're a small group here. The idea is that we can just ask questions and kind of explore stuff. So if you've got questions, etc., then feel free just to sort of butt in, or if you want to, you can write down, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. So yeah, as I said, so I'll hand over to Drew in a second. Hi, Mike, nice to see you. So we'll, as I said, so just to kind of clarify, I'm sure Drew will explain this, but there's a difference between video conferencing and live streaming. So what we're doing at the moment is video conferencing, which is where lots of people can interact, whereas live stream.
Is anyone else lost Tim?
Yeah, I've just lost Tim.
Oh.
I was going to cover this kind of stuff anyway in my introduction, Tim. So, do you want me just to crack on?
Yeah. So, are you gonna explain that?
Yeah. That is on my presentation, which I will present shortly. Now, unfortunately, I haven't had much time to go through my setup here, and so I'm committing the first cardinal sin, which is I'm backlit rather than frontlit. So it's just the way this hall is at the moment. Anyway, so let's talk about the principles of video conferencing, streaming, all those kind of things. I guess the first thing to think about, let's just get straight into it, is the who, what, where, why, when. So who are you trying to reach? Think about who are your end users going to be? What is their level of expertise? What is their level of technical literacy? All that kind of stuff. You don't want to make it too complicated for them that they're not going to be able to join. It's just a few quick things just to think about just when you're starting out. It's good to start at the very beginning, obviously. What do they need to hear and see? Like, do they need to see everything in the room, or just one kind of part? Do you have different people in different places that need to be seen? Do they need to hear everything or just one thing? Just think about those things, where they are and where you are. So again, I'm in a very echoey room. You can probably hear it in the background. Ideally, you shouldn't be in an echoey room, but there you go. That's where I am. And also think about where they are. So where are they going to be joining from? What is their kind of connection going to be like? Will they have a good connection, a bad connection? Will they be listening on a phone, or will they be listening with headphones, or will they be listening from a TV with a YouTube app or something like that, or on a laptop? Just think about what they might be using. And also just think about why, like, what are you trying to do, and what are you trying to mimic or achieve through streaming? Are you trying to mimic a Sunday morning as best as you can, or are you doing something different? Because if you're trying to mimic a Sunday morning in kind of our kind of style of doing things, there's interaction, participation, all that kind of stuff from those who are watching, want of a better phrase, as well as those who are leading from the front. Doesn't have to be on a Sunday morning, I guess. Some churches might be doing it in an afternoon because it's easier for people to join, and it's not such an upheaval for people to join because it's not a change of journey, it's just a change of clicking a button. So that's something else you might want to think about. If it's not getting traction on a Sunday morning, then maybe a Sunday afternoon might be better, etc., etc. Obviously, it also depends on venue availability as well. And then it's time to think about how you're going to do it, what equipment you need, what service you'll use, that kind of thing. So we'll look at, we'll come back to that. Sorry, we'll do streaming versus video conferencing. So the main differences that Tim was starting to go into, streaming is one way. So there's no kind of two-way interaction. It's just straight out. And because it's straight out, there is higher quality. So you can, just in terms of the video quality will be higher. Like this video quality is great, but it's not like broadcast standard or anything like that. Whereas when you're streaming, you can afford to more quality because of the way it buffers and all that kind of stuff. If you've ever dropped a connection on Netflix and you've seen that buffering logo, you know what that's all about. Streaming has a high level of control to it, so you can what am I trying to say? High level of control in that you can just do what you want to do, and you haven't got, no one's going to say, can you do that again? Or, sorry, what was that? So you've got a high level of control, so you can just do what you need to do, and it's basically just shoved on them, shall we say, and they haven't got any chance to come back, apart from maybe through comments, because it is less interactive. So on YouTube, the only way you can interact with people you're streaming with is via the live chat, and even then the stream is delayed by 10-20 seconds sometimes. So if they're saying they've got no sound all of a sudden for some reason, which happened a couple of weeks ago for us, Daniel had to do his whole introduction again because we hadn't got that message back to him in time to then fix the issue before he then carried on. So that's the negative side of streaming, as well as the three positives. Whereas obviously video conferencing is two-way communication between two people or more. I could go into that, but there you go. It's lower quality because you're looking for a high interaction. So it's not worried about quality so much. It's just worried about getting stuff to you and then getting stuff back as well, with the two-way functionality. Let me just move this. Yes, low control. So it has, video conferencing can be a bit chaotic if you've got more than, I would say, probably more than 5 or 6 people on a video conference for a meeting. It can get a bit fraught if people are trying to butt in, that kind of thing. But for a church service, it can get maybe even more fraught because you've got people trying to chip in with prayers or words or whatever. So it needs a lot of policing, and I think Tim has probably experienced that somewhat, and the guys at River, that kind of a thing, just trying to keep it under control. But it is more interactive. So you've got the chat function where you can chat both ways. You've got just the two-way audio and video communication. So it's just down to you just to think about what you're trying to achieve and which is best for you. Yeah. So let me go back to there. Sorry, I should swap these slides around. Video basics. So now you've decided what you want to do. There's 2 elements, sorry, 3 really, to a video call, and that's audio, video, and then content. Probably audio content, then video, actually. What I mean by content is the presentation, for example, that I'm sharing now, or a video perhaps, something like that. So think about what you want to share from our previous questions. Then think about how you're going to do that. So for your video, just basics that we can just run through, as you can see. What's in shot, make sure you've got what you want in shot. There's nothing incriminating behind you, or there's something which maybe you don't want people to see. What is the angle? So admittedly, this is quite a poor angle because I'm speaking down to you. But if I I do this, it's a bit, it's much better, isn't it? It's more face to face. Whereas if I do that, then I'm just looking up at you, and it's a bit weird. Think about that, because that's subconsciously it can play a part in communicating something that maybe you don't want to communicate, i.e., all top down, listen to me kind of thing, or we're on the same level, that kind of thing. And never be backlit, because it looks terrible, as you can see. And then think about your audio. Audio is king, we say, in the video conferencing field, because so I think that's a really important point. You must remember that.
I love that, Drew.
Oh, brilliant. I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
And I nearly had a very blonde moment.
So yeah, make sure audio is king, because if you do lose your audio, your audience has no idea on what you're saying. If you watch the news with the volume on, with the audio on mute, you won't get half, not even half the story. You might even get 10%. Depends how many titles they put all over it. But yeah, you won't get a lot. So audio is very, very important. So for that reason, think about where you are. Is it quiet? Think about the acoustics, i.e. don't do it from the bathroom or somewhere that's very echoey, because what will happen is over time, like might sound okay for a little while, but after time, your ears will start to get tired, and you might feel yourself drifting because your brain is having to work overtime to kind of cancel out all the echoey stuff and focus on the real sound. That's just like psychoacoustics, which is pretty cool, but just something to think about. So just, maybe in a living room is a better place rather than a kitchen, for example, because there's more soft things around that can absorb all the reverberations. And then think about where the microphone is. It's not a miracle worker. Give it what it needs. Like if I reduce my volume just a little bit now and just talk a bit quieter, I have no idea what this is sounding like, but I'm just talking at a normal level. I'm not really projecting. And you probably didn't hear most of that, or maybe it kind of cut out a little bit. You need to give the microphones plenty of volume, not too much, because otherwise they distort. But what we say to people is you need to kind of project your voice. So imagine you're talking to someone maybe twice the distance away from the mic than you are from the microphone, that you can be heard clearly. And that's usually a good rule of thumb to be heard, no matter what microphone you're using. So let's go through it again. Okay, so a very, very basic streaming setup or video conferencing setup will be much like what you have in front of you today, probably. It's DIY. You don't need any other people to do it. You can do it all yourself. All you need is a decent specification smart device, like a recent iPad or Android or iPhone, something like that. And then a YouTube or a Facebook account. From these, there are more providers than this, but these are the two most popular, and they're free at the moment to use. So just think about what you want to use. Benefit, I think, of YouTube is maybe slightly higher quality, and a bit more powerful in terms of the creative side of things, and Facebook's a bit more just straightforward, but you've got a bit more interaction on Facebook in terms of seeing who's clicked on it, who's listening, all that kind of stuff. Whereas on YouTube, you just get the view count and a few other little bits. So that's worth thinking about what kind of data you want. Then,
I suppose, Drew, that's the point where you start to think about who you're trying to reach. So
yeah,
if, for example, you are just sort of streaming your church service, you can share with them the YouTube link. But if you're trying to reach people, like I know the guys in Chester have been doing stuff on Instagram, because that's been working for them. So I think this is where you think about your audience, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, YouTube is fairly what's the word? like ubiquitous. It's like everywhere. You know, everyone's got a YouTube app on their phone pretty much. So it's quite easy to send someone a link and join it. Facebook, most people have an account, some people don't, all that kind of stuff. So there's that to think about as well. The benefit with YouTube, of course, is that you can watch it anonymously without an account. And, you know, you haven't got any idea who they are. Well, Google has, but you don't. An internet connection, surprisingly enough. Sorry, question, go.
Yeah. Do you get, even though you can't see who it is who's viewed it on YouTube, you can obviously get numbers of hits and stuff like that, right? So
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You can see who. I think you can see who's. Obviously, you can see who's commenting and chatting about it. But yeah, apart from that, there's not much, and you only get the usernames. You don't get their actual name or anything like that. Whereas you might get that from Facebook, of course.
Yeah, Facebook obviously knows exactly who's watching because it knows.
You have to log in.
You have to log in pretty much to see it.
Yeah.
So Facebook's got much more detail on who's watching and where they're watching and etc. So that's why. But the trouble is, you've got to have a Facebook account if you've got a younger profile of people as well. Like not that many young people are on Facebook anymore, so it's kind of, in that sense, it's becoming more limiting, Facebook, I think.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so there's that's basically all you'll need for a basic streaming setup. You can go the extra mile and think about your audio and think about getting an external microphone that plugs into the camera. So there's a couple of choices here which I would recommend. They are the pricier end, unfortunately, like 100-ish or more. But like I say, audio is king. So if you want to get your message across with being heard clearly, then a decent microphone is a must. This Shure microphone here comes with a little tripod stand with a phone holder in it already, and the microphone just plugs straight into your phone. It gives you a stereo input, and that's it. So you can just pop your phone, plug it into some power, plug in the microphone, and off you go. On your 4G or Wi-Fi, whatever you're using. The Rode video mic, similar kind of thing. They do I've just realised that's the SLR version, which mounts on a digital camera. They do one which fits onto phones.
I've got it here. So this is the one I've been using, and it was £40 for it, and it plugs into. You can see it plugs into like just the like a phone
Mini
socket.
jack.
Yeah, mini jack. And so basically, what that just does, it cleans up the audio. It doesn't do wonders, but it cuts out like the background noise. It cuts out the hiss. It focuses the microphone. And so we did a wedding actually. I zoomed someone's wedding using that, and it definitely improves the quality. So and it's very low tech. It's literally you plug it in to your phone, and that's it. So
yeah, great.
I presume all of these pick up the sound from a whole room. It's not directional.
It'll be directional to some extent. The Rode microphone, especially as Tim was saying, will kind of cut out the surrounding noise and just focus maybe a 60-degree kind of field on the microphone rather than a much wider one. And if you get a stereo one like this Shure microphone, it'll probably pick up quite a lot. Maybe.
I don't know whether you can just drop out at the end of the meeting, maybe a spec in the £30-40 range for something. Yeah. In the different scenarios, maybe like obviously a church hall for some people, but then for us it's more like a sitting room Bible study type situation. Is that like a video conferencing? The ones like the spiders you get on the table? Is that the kind of thing you should be looking for?
I guess you could do that. Spiders on the table, yeah, you could do that.
I just think it's trying to pick up the entire room evenly. That's
right, yeah. So for that, you need to go in. I can go into microphone polar patterns, and you can look out for an omnidirectional microphone.
Omnidirectional, thank you.
Omni means all around. You've got cardioid, which looks like a heart from where the microphone is, and you've got other ones as well. Which gradually narrow the field down, figure of eight, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that's like basic. So intermediate-ish, I would say.
Sorry, Drew, just quickly before you go on. So in terms of the streaming to, say, YouTube, like the actual kind of how would someone do that bit? So how complicated is that bit?
Okay. It's fairly simple on an Android phone. Let me see if I can quickly show you somehow. I'm on here. So if I go to YouTube.
You just need the YouTube app, yeah?
Do that. Go to your channel. Yes. So if you can see that.
Can't hear you, mate.
We can't hear anything you're saying, Drew.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Tap on your channel, and then tap the video camera icon, which is up there, and you can choose to either upload a video or go live. And if I hit go live, it'll then start the stream. I've got an eligibility issue there for some reason, so I don't know what that is. But it's as simple as that. Just go live. So if you've got a church account, obviously make sure you sign in with a church account on YouTube, then you can do that from a phone. Or you can do it from a laptop as well, and it'll pick up the webcam, which is the intermediate one, which is coming.
The only problem I've got a feeling that there's a slight problem with streaming from YouTube from your phone. I think you need a certain number of subscribers before you can do that. I think it's a rule that they've just changed.
Okay.
So if you're just, I think it's fine if you do it from a PC device. I think from a phone you might need to stream to Facebook. I don't know, but maybe something people can just check out and
okay. Yeah, sorry. Oh, you need at least 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Most of us aren't going to get anytime soon. So
no.
I think it's just but there's workarounds to that.
Yeah, but you can do it from a PC or a laptop instead. Yeah. Okay. So
Drew, just a question.
Yeah.
These these microphones, and the streaming kind of service that you're talking about, how do these microphones and stuff react to if you've got like a full church and you're also streaming services? Do they pick up like the old boys singing who's out of key, and do they,
well, I guess
tambourine on the third row?
Oh no tambourines. The microphones will kind of will pick up the loudest thing they can hear, and everything else will kind of be pushed out. So if someone's singing really loud on the front row, then it will think, that's the main signal, and that'll hit, the diaphragm of the microphone, and most of the other sound won't really get in because the capacity of the diaphragm handling the audio is taken up by the old boy at the front singing really loud. But if there's a general kind of, they're all the same volume, then, or should I say, maybe if you move the microphone back from the old boy at the front and angle it away from him, then his kind of his audio won't hit the mic so hard, and therefore it will accept more volume from elsewhere. If that makes sense, I'm not sure.
The positioning of the microphone is quite key as well.
Yeah, like if you want to get the whole general feel of a room, then you want to be quite far away, not too far away, but you don't want to be within like 6 foot of someone. You want to be quite, further than that, 6 to 12 feet away perhaps. And it does depend as well on the quality of the microphone, how sensitive it is, all that kind of thing.
So whereabouts in like the Elton Church do you position your microphone?
So we have 2 at the front, which capture everyone in the hall, basically. They're not gained particularly high, like they're not particularly sensitive, but they do pick up the general kind of ambience, as well as they'll pick up some of the PA and the musicians. But we do a little trick with that to kind of cancel that out. in what they're picking up, so that it kind of rejects that kind of noise. Sorry, not the noise, but it is essentially noise of the people on the stage.
Depends who's preaching, really, doesn't it?
Well, so it rejects that noise, i.e., unwanted signal, and just gets, puts through puts through to the desk, through to the stream, what you want to hear. Does that help?
Yeah.